Space News Update, Firefly success, Ariane 6 anomaly, and more. This week in Space News, Firefly Aerospace achieved a significant milestone with the successful launch of its fifth rocket. However, the maiden flight of the Ariane 6 faced an anomaly that impacted the Nyx Bikini re-entry tech demonstrator. In other news, a new French launcher startup called Latitude is making waves. Rocket Factory Augsburg provides a progress update, and Gravitics secures a contract with Axiom Space. Let's dive into the details. Firefly Aerospace delivered 8 NASA-sponsored science CubeSats to orbit on the 4th of July from the Vandenberg base in California. This was Firefly's 5th launch and 2nd launch that was completely successful. Firefly's Alpha has been under development for more than a decade and is now closing in on operational status. The company is planning to launch 3 more times this year and 6 times in 2026. More paths and more birds. Firefly recently announced 2 new Alpha launch sites. The S-Range Space Center in Sweden has agreed to host launches starting in 2026, which would make Firefly the first American company to launch satellites in Europe. The Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport, better known as Wallops Island. Firefly is partnering with Northrop to develop a new reusable medium-lift rocket and plans to launch it an Alpha from Northrop's Mars pad. Ariane 6 launch. This week Ariane 6 flew on its maiden flight. It was mostly successful with a nominal ascent and deployment of CubeSat payloads. The newly developed upper stage is designed to restart multiple times so it can safely dispose of itself after payload deployment. However, the required re-entry trajectory burn did not succeed. Unfortunately, the Nyx Bikini re-entry demonstrator vehicle could not be deployed and is now stranded in space with the second stage. This stage could take a decade or more before it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere, which is unfortunate given ESA's push for zero debris environment. A spokesman for the exploration company, the owner of Nyx Bikini demonstrator, said, "While we will not gather the expected re-entry data, this is not a problem for our next flights. Indeed, we are not using the same thermal protection as Bikini, and we already collected data for our new thermal protection via plasma tests. Our strategy and our journey continues as planned. Our next capsule, Mission Possible, is on track to fly in the first half of 2025 with SpaceX, and we are in the middle of our preliminary design review with ESA for our final Nyx vehicle." Latitude secures €15 million. Latitude, a French launch startup, secured €15 million, that's $16.1 million in funding from the France 2030 plan to increase government investment in innovation. The company plans to use the funding to ramp up its in-house production capabilities, particularly the turbopumps and avionics. Latitude aims to conduct its first test launch in late 2025 and hopes to get government approval for its Zephyr rocket launch in French Guiana, the European equatorial spaceport. If they can't get access to fly from there, they will look for alternative launch sites in the UK, Norway or Australia. Their CEO, Stanislaw Maximin, said, "The challenge is to get the launch authorization in time, because in France it takes at least 18 months to get it. You can see how challenging it is and how we need to have regulators on our side." Latitude already has customers lined up for launch and hopes to be launching 50 times per year by 2028. We'll keep you covered with their progress. Okay, next up is a progress report from Rocket Factory Augsburg. Here is an update from RFA on their second stage. I've covered their first stage and engines before, but now we get news on their second stage. From the image, we can see a vacuum-optimized version of their Helix engine called Helix Vac. This engine fires in space so has a larger engine nozzle, resulting in longer acceleration and exhaust gases. This improves fuel efficiency. It's been testing at their Swedish base before being packed up and sent to the launch pad in Saxford, Scotland. The only other difference is how to start the turbopumps between the first stage and the second stage engines. For the first stage, the helium gas used comes from the launch site. That option is not going to work for the second stage that is in space when it's time to start the engines. The helium is released that spins up the turbopumps to start the engine. You can see the high pressure helium bottle in the photo. It's decorated with the signatures of the RFA team members. Here is wishing RFA good luck with the testing, and we look forward to seeing the second stage on the Saxford launch pad ready for its maiden flight. Gravitics lands a $125 million order from Axiom Space. Gravitics, a commercial space station module builder that we've covered before on this channel, has secured a $125 million contract with Axiom Space to expand Axiom's planned space station. Gravitics, founded in 2021, manufactures space station modules. They have no interest in owning and operating space stations. They prefer to just build the modules and sell them to upcoming commercial space station operators. Gravitics modules range from 3 to 8 meters. That's between 9 and 26 feet in diameter, with the largest, StarMax, boasting interior volume similar in size to the International Space Station. A Starship-class launcher would be needed to launch such a beast though. Exactly how Gravitics plans to maneuver the module to the Axiom station isn't clear, but some of their company videos show thruster engine testing, so presumably their modules will have the ability to rendezvous with the station to complete docking, either autonomously or with the help of a robotic arm or some other method. Axiom Space is probably the leading commercial space station aspirant at the moment. They already have an agreement with NASA to attach their first module to the ISS. Later, it will detach and become free-floating. They send astronauts to the ISS once or twice a year, so they have experience delivering visitors to space stations. Axiom Space Station is part of NASA's commercial LEO Destinations program, which aims to replace the International Space Station as it nears the end of its operational life. This deal was unexpected and is a huge win for Gravitics, which will boost their credibility in this new field of commercial space stations and supporting commercial sectors that service, construct and maintain space stations. It's expected that Gravitics module will have a utility role within Axiom's commercial space station. It's possible this first module will be for storage, always useful to have on a space station. Gravitics CEO Colin Doohan thinks this deal would boost the company's growth. They already have plans to double its workforce and raise additional funding. Congratulations to Gravitics on this deal. We can't wait to cover progress and the launch of this module sometime later in the decade. Okay, that's all for this news roundup. Be sure to like and subscribe so you will see our upcoming videos. We make videos every week covering the space industry with an emphasis on the smaller space startups that aren't covered so well on other channels. See you soon.